We out here. This is live NYC 2023 and we are with the man Bong, yeah? We are here in this beautiful area which is actually the base of everything, right?
Sure.
It all started around here.
Yes, sir. I mean, actually, as Zoo says on record, the business was basically born in Brooklyn at Bong's crib, 2 blocks from here, right down the spot. My old man had a place down there, you know. We used to have all the barbecues outside, you know, and that's where we gathered and sort of plotted.
See? So this is basically the home of it.
Home, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I still live a couple blocks away. We spent a lot of the days here over at Beer Wax, the main event venue over there, the World Finals after party over there. So,
Just to keep everything hubbed.
Real here. I wanted to bring you guys to the home of EODUB, you know?
Man. So. How has the week transpired for you?
It's been beautiful, man. It's been like everything that we imagined, everything that we envisioned came exactly as we expected. You know what I mean?
What, even taking the dub?
What do you mean?
As a dizzy?
No.
I'm just gassing.
No. You know, but it was like we took a lot of leaps of faith in putting this together. There was a lot of times where we had to say, you know, we're gonna roll the dice and see if this works. You know, and we were universally successful with that, and it felt like, you know, VZ was just sort of pulling strings for us, because each time we took a leap of faith, we landed softly and just kept moving. So
this is always a blessing, you know, because in doing this, I know it's never easy to materialize this vision, you know, especially that we've been doing it for so long too. Yeah, but with the pause, I think this was a great place to bring it back and rebuild the momentum.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we chose to do the World Finals this year on a shoestring budget with not enough time. There's never enough time in the world. But even with those constraints, like we knew we were up against a lot to try to pull it off. But we felt that it was really important to put this series together and not let another year go by where we're not bringing the world stage together. So we were super proud of being able to do it, and it worked, man. It worked exactly as we hoped. So we're very, very, very
And then the beauty I feel is that Vice energy, to be here, because this is my New York virginity bus. Yeah, I've never been to New York before, so my first time to come under this occasion is unexplainable. Simply because you know how we connect around the world. You could do a challenge in your chapter, but a challenge globally is a whole different phenomenon, you know? So like in this challenge and the spirit of Vice and everything, 2 essential factors that you feel has made this week even more than you imagined.
I mean, I think it was the synchronicity or the serendipity or the signs from beyond that we kept receiving. It was like the top thing, because we you know, we have a lot of these sort of traditions and these ways in which we pay homage to VZ, you know, 121 at the time of day, for example, you know, and like being after his crew, eye to eye 121, right? And you know, last night, for example, at the venue, we had to be out of there at 1:30. That was the hard out. We were running about 30 minutes late. Right? Well, first of all, we all did 121 at 121 last night, and then we were like late to get out of the venue. Boom, daylight savings kicks in. From 2 a.m. it goes back to 1 a.m. Suddenly we're early on the rental fee, you know. Out there early, and we got a second 121. So it's, you know, these types of things. There was a point where I was sitting with Vinyl Richie, our DJ, right, and him and I were exchanging tales of over this last week how many times these signs kept happening. Like, you know, Mike Bedine's jet pushes off at 121 on the dot, and he looks down, it was delayed, and he puts, you know, and he just kept seeing these numerology things pop up. And while we're talking about it, and we're like, yeah, it's ridiculous, it's like a list, like it keeps happening all day, every day. I'm like, yeah, I gotta go home and catch the 121 train. You know what I mean?
That's mad.
It just kept happening.
Because I even seen it with Pro, because Pro came up to me and he's like, hey, you know what bag that is? That's a VZ bag. And I just bought a random weed, but it came with the full pyramid. Humboldt bag, pyramid out, and he's like, damn, that's fucking with me right now. And then he sat down with Amy Hume, and we looked behind us on the board, and there's another upside down pyramid, and he's like, it's everywhere. And I seen when you lot put up the tribute, it was really hard for people to keep composure. Which is like, the tribute was phenomenal. Yeah, I must say, remind me of your...
Jacob McCoy was the one who directed it. Yeah, Jacob McCoy's in a lot of our videos. He put that together. You know, and honestly, I told Jacob this a while ago. Like, watching these tributes is hard for us, you know?
Yeah, of course.
But, like, imagine Jacob worked with Vice a lot, you know? And so for him to sit there with that footage is hard, too, you know? But I also want to shout Rockness from Helter Skelter, right? Who you guys went to his birthday party. I couldn't make it out on Thursday, right? But Rockness, when we had our tributes online and stuff, he gave us a bit of wisdom that, you know, after losing Sean P., he shared with us. And, you know, frankly, I'm not sure this is something we'll keep in the edit, because it might not be something to share for everybody. But I will tell you that he said to us, you know, when you lose somebody who's a public figure, when you lose somebody that you were close with and they're a public figure, you know, you can't control when you're going to be reminded about them, you know, and that you have to steel yourself for that. You have to find your times to grieve, but be there for your friend's legacy, so that when fans, when other fam, when they want to reach out, they want to bring his name up, you're ready to embrace that. You're ready to be there for them in his honor.
And that blew my mind, because I remember being at the Rockness thing, and he said, let me do some raps. I'm gonna do some raps, you know, with that grizzly voice. And Sean P's wife came up and did all the bars.
Yes.
For the back-to-back. And I'm just like, that's mind-blowing to me, you know. It's like Kendra decided to just come and spit easy bars, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I understand the power that is instilled in losing one, but you also gain the power that they brought.
Yeah, you know, it's wild, and this is a very sensitive thing to talk about. Like, I don't know how to phrase this correctly.
Naturally.
But to be honest, there's like, it's almost as if Vice was always our inspiration for many years, and it's almost like in his passing, he's become even stronger.
Yeah.
Which is wild to think that, you know, sometimes you're like, I hope somebody's spirit will stay here with us when they leave. It's like his spirit got stronger. With the loss of him actually infected all of us with so much power and so much energy. It's almost like, I said it's almost like he was like a phoenix, a supernova, like just exploded into an energy that would cast into all of us. So
like, to me as well, speaking to Meta J said he was in Prague. This was his vision of Vice, yeah? And he said he had one picture left on his Kodak camera, you know, them old school ones. And he wanted it for Method Man. But when Method Man came, he snuck around. He's like, hey, Meth, can I get a bit? And Meth was like, yeah, 5 minutes, ducked out. And Vice came and he said, what's up? He said, I got one picture left and I want to take it with you. I was like, all right. And he goes, from that point, Method Man was no longer my icon. Vice is my icon, you know? And the way he held Vice in high regards, like it's really hard for us, because we're like so far removed from what is happening, you know? This is a brother we might see once a year, you know what I mean? But feels like I've seen you all year. That's crazy energy to me, you know? But in the spirit of what we've done, we made the spirit live on, you get me? And it's beautiful.
Yeah. And no, I was just gonna say, that serendipity was so obvious. That spirit shining was so obvious through so much this week that it was very, very, very heartwarming. It was super heartwarming. It just felt like he was rocking with us. I mean, obviously he is, but it felt like he was, and it was clear. And then, I mean, I think, of course, the other thing that was like so beautiful about this week was just seeing people in my hometown who don't know about it, who have never had a chance to shake your hand, you know, and seeing after you guys walk away, you know, after any of the chapters walk away or something, somebody from my community turning to me and saying, that's incredible. Like, this group of people is incredible.
Mad, right?
Who are these people? How do you find these people across the earth who are such good people?
Across the earth.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and I've heard it almost every day when people have these interactions with the global chapters, and then they go off on their way and they turn to me and they're like, how do you have such a global network of amazing, creative people who are collaborating together in this way? How is that even possible?
And do you know what makes me think of, yeah? Because obviously the 1-to-1 memorial on Zoom was 1 hour, 121 hours long, yeah? And when I came here, I met Ox, and Ox gave me the biggest hug. And he's like, I was talking to Kendra, and she's like, have you met Mass? I'm like, yeah, of course I have. And then I realized we haven't met. Not in physical,
Yeah.
but through these mediums, we've kept such a strong family basis that it's like we know each other, you know?
That's the thing about EODUB from the beginning. The first time that we crossed the pond or went overseas and saw people in Europe and shook hands with people who had EODUB logos in different styles, spoke different languages, they do different handshakes, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you feel like it's your cousin at a family reunion that you just haven't met, you know what I mean? So
that's wild.
It's been happening a lot, and I've read this. One of the things that's so powerful about, you know, what we put together.
What's the ideal progression?
So I think we've had a lot of success this year that I can attribute to us embracing something we've always done, but in a more clear way, which is when we started the open mic, we wanted to create a platform for artists to sharpen their swords and to get better. But what we've actually done that whole time is provide an artistic outlet and development opportunity for our community, to provide a method, a mechanism for a community that is not, that they, you know, right now, if you're an artist, if you're an MC, you're growing up in New York, it feels like there's infinite ways to get attention, but there really are a few different types of attention you can get. You can get social media attention for various ways. You can make a good record and get attention that way, but those are only a couple of the lanes, and we wanted to open up a new lane that was not dependent on commercial success. Not that we shy away from it. There's a lot of people who've come out of our sort of team, our community, and gone on to huge careers.
Great things.
You know,
like Justina last night, you know?
Yeah, Justina and Immortal Technique and KT Gorik in Europe, and so many others who've gone on from what we've done to make real careers in the music industry. And that's a beautiful thing. That will always happen, but along the way, there's so many other people's lives who've been enriched by the activities that we're doing. So when we think about the future, I think we're leaning in to formalizing that and saying, what other ways can we expand that community outreach outside of the nightclubs, right? So one of the areas that we're going to focus on a lot is our educational outreach programs. We've done this for a number of years in most of our chapters to a different degree. We've been piloting a few different formats for that in a few markets. And I think we've come up with a plan that will allow us to reach youth at different ages with different types of curriculum that include middle school youth. This is like 10 to 12 in our country, you know, high school youth, which is 12 to 17, and then university age, you know, 18 and above.
Future.
And in each of these areas, we've come up with a way to take our competition and our platform and create curriculum and programming that can apply to these areas. And this is one way that we think that we can ensure that the platform we've built continues to give back to the community and also continues to develop a next generation of MCs who can trace their artistic lineage directly back to New York City's, you know, independent music scene. So.
It's a mind-blowing thing because obviously it started from a simple conversation, yeah? But to come 23 years later and see what was just an idea has turned into a world movement. How does your mind, how does the comprehension work on that?
It is, I mean, it's really incomprehensible. It's something that you cannot explain how or why it has happened, and it's hard to comprehend. You know, if you start a business, like a straight business, you're selling bananas or whatever it is, you know, plastic or something like this, and as you grow and scale your business, there's certain ways that works. It's obvious, right? Like,
Steps
you know,
you
can trace it, right? And you can kind of peel back the many knots that have created to kind of make it. Like, you can try to untie and trace the rope back to how we were formed, but it's really hard. It's like a spider web, you know, where each little strand kind of builds out on the strands before it, you know? And And it's sometimes these world finals are like the only time that you can really feel it. You step back and see it. And I know that what we're talking about is really hard to comprehend if you haven't participated in one of the world finals events. If you haven't been part of that, it's like you just don't get it. You know, I tell my team here. Yeah, I tell my team here in New York about our world finals. But if they hadn't attended one, they haven't had that feeling. If they haven't been part of that series of events, it's very hard for them to empathize with that feeling of that global network coming together. That true hip hop is universal language in expression, like in reality. You see it, that true universality of the hip hop culture. And so I can understand that it's an intangible that's really hard to wrap your head around. And even myself, who's been to a dozen world finals,
still like, what the hell?
Yeah, you have these events, you're like, is this real? Is this, am I sitting next to Mas Law from London? Like,
the LTN,
in Brooklyn? Like, what are we, you know? It's
crazy. It's crazy, because for me, I know my journey is from early, actually. It's quite early, because if I'm saying, sorry, Dan. If I'm saying my journey started in 2006, so I'm only 6 years after. Yeah, 2008 I first entered. 2014 I win, but I entered every year, innit? So I've been growing with the journey, and me growing with the journey, Uganda made me feel what you're talking about, because that was like, check us on a global scale, you know? Because Snuff was doing this in London, but it was just another MC challenge. But when you went to Uganda and seen that was like, man.
When you have a clip that we filmed in a van in Uganda, right? That to me captured that spirit in a way that I've had trouble putting into words, but I could see it in your face, right? We're interviewing you and you say, Uganda as a prize? Happy days. You know? And that conversation that you were all having about seeing temples and seeing, you know, things that you've never seen that you couldn't imagine. But through end of the week, and then sitting right next to you is Galv from Berlin, you know, and Intikana from the US, who are all sharing that same experience. And it's an experience that's unlike anyone else. You know, you just can't find it somewhere else. So.
And even that, every one of them still brothers I can reach out at any moment, because the beauty of what you built is it doesn't come with bad blood. Yeah, and I really like, on my side of the waters, I angle for that. You come with any form of bad blood, you point it down. Yeah, because this is about building up. And it's built up to a point that you're talking 20? I think it's 20 chapters. 15 active now, but it's been through 20 chapters.
At least, yeah.
People can't even fathom 20 different landscapes, 5 different continents. That's mad, you know? And here we are in 2023, back in NYC, yeah, and it's like a full circle. That's how it feels to me, you know? And I remember coming back from Montreal and Snuff was like, this thing's kind of hard to do because I've been doing it all on my own and I said, listen, I champion this horse. How do I get involved? And Snuff was like, well, this is basics of it. I said, listen, I'm gonna make it work. I brought Apex on board, and since then, we advocate in a way where we're saying, Apex just said to me actually, this is what we're doing for the rest of our lives, man. I'm gonna do Warrior Drummer, and we're gonna do End of the Week. And for me, I also had the same thought, because I'm like, I could be a rapper all my life and keep pursuing being a rapper, but this feels so much more soul feeding. Yeah, when we put on these finals, the face DK made when she won, and we said we're going to New York, mad. Because it's like wildest dreams things, you know? So we're actually putting people's wildest dreams here. It's evident.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like every time that you get, like we just finished a week of events here. We had like 10 events over 7 days. It took months of prep. You know, haven't seen my kids all week. You know, it's a lot of sacrifice that we make to do it. But I share that. It's a share that feeling of like, you know, of course I'm going to continue to do this, like for as long as I can, you know. And there isn't even a question in my mind. In fact, last night, after the World Finals, after the after party, there's that voice in your head that says, have you done enough? Like, could you stop here? And it's like a voice that can't even get an audience in my own brain.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, I heard it trying to talk, and the rest of my brain was like, almost mocking it.
Shut up, blood. You see what we just done? Idiot.
Yeah. And it was like all of a sudden it was gone. It was a thought that came in and just walked away, you know, because there's no space to entertain that type of, you know, idea. It's like we are right now doing, you know, something that I think is so necessary for hip hop culture. And for so many years I feel like I've been accepted into, invited into, allowed into hip hop culture, you know? And I don't ever want to overstep in terms of saying, you know, how much decisions I have over what the culture should or shouldn't include or have, etc. I respect that I'm, you know, somebody who's trying to contribute to the culture, not trying to define the culture. But I think after this last 23 years, I feel it's okay for me to say that I know what we're doing is necessary for the culture. And I know what we're doing is something that's going to preserve an important aspect of the culture for decades to come.
To me, to have 8 dialects on stage in one time is mind-blowing in itself, yeah? Because, you know, people are like, how do you judge that? There's even a strategy in place for that, you know? So what's been built is pure evidence of itself, you know? We are here now and seeing the pure evidence of itself. I've asked everybody a vice memory, but I just feel like that's wasted on you because there's a million vice memories.
No, let me give you a vice memory. I'm gonna tell you a real vice memory.
Tell me one.
And this is one I've told a couple times this week, but I think it's real important to tell you this vice memory. That when EODUB first started, right? I knew Vice for years before this, and I was his manager. I was working on him building his own artistic career, you know? And he got the call from Joey Ty, DJ, who wanted him to host an open mic with his partner Pro and team up with a team from Jersey, Solid Ground, which is Zoo and Nunzio, right? And Vice and I were with our girlfriends at a beach house in the beach in New Jersey on a Sunday afternoon. And he's like, yeah, I want to go back and do this open mic tonight in New York City. I was like, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Where you going, blood? Sit down.
What are you talking about? We're on the beach, man. Are you crazy?
Stay on the beach, blood.
He's like, you know, I'm like, how is that going to help your career? Like, you know, I'm trying to help you as your manager. Like, how, like, you know, hosting an open mic isn't going to further your career. And he was like, it's not about that, man. It has to happen. Like, this space needs to exist, you know? And I told him, look, you go, man. I'm going to chill here. Like, you let me know how it is. If it's dope, like, let me know. He calls me the next day, like, it was incredible. You have to come, right?
And was the other group involved?
Oh, yeah. Solid Ground was there. Solid Ground went. Joey Ty, the DJ who had booked it, he didn't show up. Scram Jones filled in, right?
Wow.
But we found out only a few weeks later. The venue was like, please come back, do it again. Vice called me, like, please come help. So I came in week 2, you know? And I've worked every week since week 2. You know what I mean?
Wild.
And we turned out, I don't want to leave that Joey Ty mentioned unsettled. Joey Ty turned out to have a terminal illness and passed away not long after. And we kept doing the open mic in his memory for ongoing. It's like, or the last thing he said to us was come do this open mic, and then he passed away, so we have to keep doing it. You know what I mean?
It's wild because it's championed by figures like this.
Yeah, yes. And so for 20 years, we did End of the Week really as a lot of it was an homage to Joey Ty's memory, in that he had asked us to come together, and you got to think, in that first time, he was asking a crew from New York to meet up with a crew from Jersey across the river to collaborate and co-host the show together. And at the time, that was like,
mad.
Who did that? Like, what are you talking about?
And,
you know what I mean?
and what I've just learned being here is that this ain't close.
No,
Jersey's
it's
way
a whole
away.
other state. I mean, I think if you're in Jersey, you drive a lot. It's probably common to feel like you're part of the New York area, right? And they're part of the New York tri-state area. But for a New Yorker, it's like that's a whole other thing. And like to host a show in New York with half the team being from Jersey, it was just a different thing. It was not something that people typically did, but it was indicative of what we continued to do as we paired up countries and worked with other countries over the world, you know? And so my memory, to bring it back there, my memory of Vice was that he was early on being selfless, on identifying opportunities to help others, and he thought about these things ahead of us, you know? So when I was like, I don't know if I see that, he saw it. He saw the value in providing this platform, and that was something I learned again when he passed, and we were doing that tribute in the EODUB, the 121 hours, and face after face, person after person would come and tell their story of how Vice would literally touch them on the shoulder, pat them on the back, and tell them they have talent. Early in their career.
Yeah, that's wild.
Way before other people. Like, you know how big of a Justina Valentine fan he was? When she was like 16, 17 years old and coming to EODUB, you know what I mean? Now she's, all over, but he was the first person on our team to be like, yo, you crazy, she's talented, and he would tell that to everybody. So that memory to me is like, it's not a one occurrence.
No, but
it's a memory of his style, of his willingness to embrace the talent that was lurking inside each of us and nurture it out.
Which, ironically, is what everyone said. It's the happiness and the ability to put the battery in your back whenever, and at first I didn't know this, because the way Vice used to speak to me, I used to be like, shit, I could climb Empire State Building right now and King Kong out, with that Vice belief is real. Man.
Well, we were so close that he used to tell me that all the time, and I thought it was just like, your friend talking. Your friend bigging you up.
You chatting shit, man.
I didn't realize that was how he carried himself everywhere. Like, I kind of tuned it out, and I didn't notice it until I started hearing that story over and over and over again. And I was like, wow, what a special soul. And then I realized that we all caught that same condition.
Yeah, we have.
Now everywhere I go, I recognize that talent in people,
and championing people. That's the beauty of what we're doing. It's 23 years later, and we're out here championing people, and still living in memories, and making sure souls never die. Because like we always give our praises to Monica, to J Arch, to Pumpkinhead. There's so much people that are watching with all these tributes that have come and pass, but the spirit is just there. You cannot take it away from what it is, Final word. What is this experience in 2 words?
2?
Yeah, 2 words. Cause I tried to do 1 word and 1 word. Like Kerry's was crazy expensive. Expensive, but crazy. We've done everything. Yeah. Guillaume was big experiences, because New York's so big, but he's learned and he's experienced so much in this. What is the 2 words you would attribute to NYC 2023?
Yeah, I mean, I would see this as a celebration and an evolution.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. Because we are definitely celebrating. And where we're going from here,
I feel like this is one of those times where you look back on something and say, oh, it's an overnight success, and you're like, yeah,
really?
23 years and then overnight, But this last year has been a huge year for End of the Week, from Times Square to the World Finals to the second season of Le Fin de Fab, winning all these awards, to the youth outreach program in Quebec, that pilot program really hitting its stride and reaching 2,400 kids.
It's wild.
So this whole week to me was about celebrating what we've done and embracing the evolution of where we're going. I feel like we did exactly what we had set out to do, and I'm so proud of our team, both locally and globally.
Yeah,
we did it.
I'm so happy. Listen, this has been NYC 2023. That was a word from Bong, and we are living in the moment. EODUB representing VZ's up.